Chapter 12. Meet me under the mistletoe. Devon. I never took the time to think about what happened between us. I broke his heart. I avoided thinking about him to escape the heartache that came along with it, for both our sakes. Devon and I had dated the last year of high school. Like so many going off to post-secondary education, we had to think about whether we should stay together or to break up. So many people stay together when they go off to university, and then they suffer the dreaded turkey dump when they return home for Thanksgiving. Instead of breaking a wishbone, they break someone's heart during the holidays and then go back to school. After Devon and I finished high school, we found ourselves in the same city an hour away from Mercer. He had a scholarship to play hockey in university, and I attended the local college to complete a business diploma. We coasted through school, and when Devon realized he couldn't take the hockey any further, he dragged me back to Mercer so he could work at his dad's car dealership. I was devastated. I wanted to get out of this town and make something of myself. My dad had always said, it's better to leave and find yourself rather than stay and to never reach your full potential. Those words stuck with me, tattooed on my mind. Because I came back to Mercer, did that make me a failure? I had wanted to stay and work in the city and complete more business credits, but that dream faded quickly. Back then, I thought the best I could do was Devon. In some ways, I think I talked myself into staying with him. He was handsome. He was kind of nice to me. He had a car, and he had some money, even if it was his parents' money. And at that time, I really didn't have anything to my name. The first couple years coming back to Mercer were okay. I got a job as a secretary at the dealership, working under Devon. In some ways, I think he liked to boss me around. We had our routine of going to the golf course on Wednesday nights to play a round of golf with his work friends. Wednesday nights were for golf, and then on Saturdays, we watched sports of some kind at the pub, and Sundays were reserved for his parents' house. These were Devon's interests, not mine. I was slowly fading into his shadow. On Valentine's Day, of all days, Devon asked me to marry him. He made a pretty big deal out of the whole situation, but it was never about professing his love for me. In true Devon fashion, he made a proposal a spectacle. He found the one billboard in town, right on the highway, with a giant picture of him holding open a red velvet box with a large princess cut diamond inside. He drove me there during a snowstorm to park in front of it for a minute to ask me to marry him. I had begged him not to drive out there, and in some way, Mother Nature was rooting for us not to work out. I see that now. Once we arrived at the billboard, he pulled out a small paper box with a microscopic diamond inside. He later gave me a cubic zirconia of the same ring on the billboard and said that was just for show. He had a reputation to uphold. On the day of our wedding, which he planned, I got cold feet. It was a crisp fall day and my cheeks stung with tears as I waited outside the church deciding what to do. Sabrina, who never liked Devon, tried to encourage me to leave. You don't have to do this, still rings in my ears. She had the keys to the getaway car and I was deciding if I should run. I couldn't keep up with that life anymore, living behind an ungrateful man, a man who truly didn't see me as a person, but rather a prize he had won. Truthfully, I didn't think I ever really loved him. He was a boyfriend decoy, and I didn't want him in my life forever. My heart belonged to someone who broke it years ago. I used Devon to get through my heartache. It wasn't until the last minute I begged Sabrina to start the car. We had made it to the chapel. Everyone was seated, and the music was cued. The doors slowly opened, revealing the brigade of groomsmen and my singular maid of dishonor, Sabrina. I didn't want the overtop wedding he planned. I only had one person I wanted standing up for me who mattered most, Sabrina. When I saw Devon flash his bleached white teeth, I knew I had headed for Pleasantville, but I wanted to head for the hills instead. And so I did. I watched in slow motion as a smile slipped off Devon's face as I slid into the passenger side of Sabrina's 4x4 Jeep. She revved the engine. As she revved the engine, Devon ran after us to the parking lot. She asked me one last time, "Are you sure?" And with a rigorous nod, she gunned it and took out of town, covering Devon in a thick layer of mud. Talk about adding insult to injury. After disappearing for 2 weeks, I returned home. I was the talk of the town. Devon's father left me a voicemail firing me, which was for the best. My things had been thrown into black garbage bags and dropped off at my parents' house. Everywhere I went, I could feel the eyes of people in town boring into me. Their disgust and anger scorched my skin whenever I went out in public. I was the town outcast. When the dust settled, I opened The Shrinking Violet because I didn't want to live in someone's shadow anymore. I wanted to be the person I knew I was inside. This life came at a cost, but it sounded like Devin and I had some apologizing to do and some hearts to mend.